Hello, everybody. Jake Peters here from PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. We are doing episode 421 this week. 1 week on from the infamous 420 podcast. And you'll notice that I'm recording by myself because Ganja Boy, Fred Oakman himself, couldn't be here today. And if you are watching on YouTube, you'll see that the capture that I have, the image that I have for Fred is the image from our thumbnail last week of him just smoking from a bong. So, guys, it's not real. It's a fucking like AI image thing. So but it is funny as fuck. So I decided to use that rather than my normal hand-drawn artist rendition of Fred that I normally have. And so, but yeah, this is episode 421. I'm by myself, so this episode might be a little shorter, a little squirrelier than usual. Let's see. We have a Patreon. PS This Is Awesome. Or no, sorry. I always screw this up. Patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome, where we have the one and only $1 club, which is basically just, it's $1. You pay $1 once a month, and you get a free die-cut vinyl sticker, which is pretty sweet. It's got our little controller logo, the yellow and red. And you get a shout-out on the show, and you get to ask us cool questions. You get the podcast usually a day or two early. This week, unfortunately, the Patreon subscribers are only going to get it a few hours early because I had business going on yesterday. Fred has business going on today. Thus is life as an adult in an ever-changing world. And this should be a relatively, interesting. There's some news this week that I think is not, it's not like the normal humdrum. I mean, it's a little humdrum, but it's like, at least it's some stuff. Like, it's something. It's not like random ass shit. So that nobody cares about. Something that you do probably care about. I'm drinking this Santa Fe. Look at this. It might be backwards in the video, but it's like a Santa Fe sparkling water. I think my wife might have got it from Aldi. And let me take a sip. I gotta tell you, boys and girls, this sparkling water is ass. So if you find yourself at Aldi or wherever, and you're thinking, that's Santa Fe, it's got some slick packaging, I bet it tastes pretty good. It tastes like it was made in a chemical factory. And they were just kind of hinting at flavors. So, now to be fair, I did recently just eat like an Andes mint. So I could have some lingering mintiness on the palate. But this orange mango sparkling water with real fruit juice is contains 7% juice. It's no bueno. I would rather have like a fucking bubbly or even a Walmart like sparkling ice or something like that, or LaCroix, or I don't know. There's a fucking million of them now, and I'm like hit or miss with sparkling waters. I think the all-time best in terms of quality experience on the palate has got to be the Liquid Deaths, because it's smooth. It's not like harshly carbonated, but depends on what you're into. They also have really good flavor. If you get I like even just a straight sparkling water, but the flavored ones are really good too. I always get like the classic severed lime is really good, and also the fresh squeezed is or squeezed to death, I think is what it's called. The orange one, also A tier. I know some people who have had the cola flavored one, so they've got like I think it's just cola. They have a Dr. Pepper. They have a Mountain Dew one now, which I actually am really interested in trying. And haven't had any of those. And I've had a couple of the tea-based ones, but tea's not really something that I'm drinking all the time. Because I like I don't think the tea ones are carbonated, and that's like most of my jam when it comes to drinking anything that's not water. If it's not just straight water or coffee, it's got to be carbonated, unless it's like fucking whiskey or something. It's like carbonated whiskey would be really bizarre. It might actually be kind of crazy, to be honest with you, with the burn and the fucking bubbles. It might actually fuck your sinuses up. But anyway, I don't know. What am I talking about? I don't know. Let's see here. getting back into the show. Well, before we get into the show, is there anything else going on with me? No, I mean, keeping up, the weather's been kind of hit or miss, so keeping up with the yard, which is nice. Got a little side. I'm doing a little bit of a filling in on bass. So I've been learning some new bass songs that's a little bit more in my wheelhouse. Some punk rock shit, which I am super excited. I am not 100% confident that I'm going to be able to play every note correctly, but I at least will hopefully get all of the chord progression correct. And if I don't get all the little noodles in there, sue me. But I will do my darndest. I'm just happy to get up there on stage and play a rockin' show for half hour, 40 minutes instead of a kind of a lumbering show for 3 hours. It's kind of a nice change of pace. So I'm excited to do that. I've been learning some songs. And I think I only got like maybe 5 or 6 weeks before the show. So it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround for me. The songs, thankfully, are they're not too bad. So it's not like I'm playing freaking Jaco Pastorius or some weird shit like that. So should be good. Anyway, so where are we? We're at a PlayStation podcast. I've been going for about, 6.5 minutes here. Haven't really talked about much, but we'll talk about video games here. So first thing I want to talk about is what I'm playing. And maybe while I'm talking about this, I'll see if I can pull up the like to see if anybody has written into the show. I doubt that they have, but I want to be diligent. Oh, before I get into this, I got more shit to waste your time on. Guys, the fucking NHL playoffs are right now, and they are awesome. I don't know if anyone out there besides me is a hockey fan that listens to this podcast, but bro, I've been watching every single fucking game that I can. Couple series are kind of meh. The Carolina Senators series was ass. I don't want to say it was ass because I didn't watch much of it. There was some bloodshed in that series, but it was a sweep. The Colorado LA series was a sweep, but boy, series I'm interested in, obviously a Penguins fan, so Penguins coming back from the brink to win 2 in a row. Now they're headed to Game 6. If they win Game 6, they could force a Game 7, maybe get the reverse sweep. That would be a fucking all-timer in terms of like game, like hockey experiences for me as a fan. Of course, probably them winning the 2 Stanley Cups in 16 and 17 were awesome. My favorite part of that whole sequence was when Chris Kunitz scored overtime winner Game 7 of the conference final in the double OT. It was like fucking 1 o'clock in the morning. I remember being so amped. It was so awesome. Dude, hockey, if you're interested in sports, there's no more exciting sport than hockey on the planet, if you can understand it. But other than that, Buffalo, looking fucking hot. They haven't been in the playoffs for 14 years, and they are killing it. Montreal, doing pretty good. I don't know. You guys don't care about hockey, so what the fuck? Let's see here. We got a comment from Big Box. And let's see here. He puts a timestamp in this comment. So you guys are going to have to bear with me for a second. I'm going to listen to this. I don't know if it's going to come through or not. The first party, which now we kind of assume was the... You guys might be able to hear this. ...stuff and everything that kind of has pretty much died on the vine for Sony, to be honest with you. I'm listening. But it is an interesting thing. I'm listening. Nonetheless, he did say, though, that Ryan offered Yoshida the role to focus on improving PlayStation support of indie development because, quote, everybody in the company knew how... Okay, so it sounds like he's just highlighting sorry, my brain's getting stuck. He's highlighting the comment, the news point last week where we were talking about Shuhei Yoshida making those comments in that Alt Games Fest in, where is that, Australia, and he was talking about how he got basically ousted as the man in charge of Sony First Party, And so I'm sorry for that little, that was kind of probably a shitty thing to do for a solo podcast host, was me to just kind of play that. You might have been able to hear it through my microphone. I don't think it actually came through as in the recording. But basically, Big Box says here, I knew it. I could sense a disturbance in the force, and it led me to Jake saying this. Dirty, dirty nonsense. Marathon now has more devs on it than Destiny 2, and morale on the Marathon team is good, according to Paul Tassi, who is a Bungie dude. Then he has on here Fair Games, Hunter's Gathering, Four Loop, Gummy Bears. Bend is hiring for a live service expertise. Media Molecule is hiring for a live service expertise. Dying on the Vine, baby, the seed has only begun to sprout. So Big Box likes to be just a smidge antagonistic with me when it comes to some of this stuff. And he is right that they are, and I think he's just saying that, like, we've got more shit coming. Like, the initiative has not died on the vine, just some specific titles. And I think that was more along the lines of what I was trying to get across in my comment, was that there were very specific titles that had died on the vine. And I mean, maybe I meant that the initiative died on the vine, but he is right that there are a bunch of these games still in development. Fair Games, that game seems like it's fucking dying on the vine, a slow and painful death. Because I think there was an alpha test or something recently that people didn't really care much for. But all these other games, Media Molecule, Bend, and Gummy Bears, we know nothing about. Gummy Bears, you can kind of maybe assume that it's going to be at least good, even if it's not well received, because it's a Bungie team. I mean, it's not Bungie, but it's like the spin-off Bungie team. And For Loop, I don't think looks that bad. The name is fucking atrocious. If anybody, it's kind of like it's like a double entendre, because a for loop is a programming term, and also it's, I guess, like a triple entendre, because you are looping in the game because it's got like roguelike elements, and also it's got the fucking 4 because there could be 4 players at once, because this guy can't get off the fucking number 4 for his game titles. I get it. It makes it recognizable, but dude, Left 4 Dead was a long time ago, and nobody fucking is going to see this and be like, whoa, this is going to be just as good as Left 4 Dead. I just don't believe it. So I didn't think For Loop looked bad in the last showing that they showed, but these games aren't for me. But it seems like a lot of people don't give a shit about it. Same thing with Hunter's Gathering. I know there was some insight from people who actually played in that most recent playtest for it, and some people liked it and some people didn't. But to me, it's like, why are you using first-party assets for this? Maybe Guerrilla wanted to make that game, but maybe Guerrilla should be making a Horizon 3 and finishing the fucking story, and then maybe they can make this game, and they can sit on it the rest of their lives if they want to. Because they're going to make this game, they're going to put it out. Let's say it has some traction. They now have to split off a large chunk of their team to manage this game, and then they're going to have the rest of the team working on Horizon 3, and I just don't know like how well they're going to be able to manage that. I mean, we all go back to like the Naughty Dog thing, where it's like we wanted to do freaking Last of Us Online or whatever it was called. But then they're like, oh, we got to support this after it comes out? What the fuck are you talking about? There's no way they don't know that, right? So I have to believe that Hunter's Gathering is going to be good because it's a first-party game. Whether or not people give a shit is a completely different story. Fair Games, I don't think that game stands a fucking chance at this point. It would have to have some serious change in narrative before it comes out for people to even be willing to give it a try. Now, I did mention, I think last week maybe, or 2 weeks ago, that it was aiming to go maybe free to play now. There's some rumors on that, and that might give it a little bit more of a chance. But for now, I just don't think that it's got a chance. For Loop is a second party game, and I think that's the way that they should be doing this. They shouldn't take Bluepoint and have them make a God of War live service game. They shouldn't have Bend and have them make a fucking live service game. They shouldn't have Media Molecule making a live service game. They make creative single player experiences. What Media Molecule I'm talking about specifically. Bend has only ever made, really, as far as I'm aware, single player experiences. Maybe they had a multiplayer mode here and there, but not live service. Gummy Bears is going to be a MOBA, but Bungie has experience in live service. I don't give a shit about MOBAs. I don't really understand them, and every time I've ever played one, I just don't get why people like these. But I say that about a lot of different types of games. And so Hunter's Gathering, fair game's a little bit more traditional. For Loop, a little bit more traditional in terms of the live service space. We will see how they go. You want me to rank Big Box? You want me to rank the likelihood from, let's see, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of these 6 games, 1 to 6 likelihood of being released. No, wait. Likelihood of succeeding generally. So that includes being released. I'm going to say I'm going to say Gummy Bears Gummy Bears number 1 because of the pedigree. Hunter's Gathering number 2. For Loop number 3. Probably fair games at number 4. And then I can't even rank Bend and Media Molecule. They're both last place because who knows what they're working on. It could be something cool. We don't know anything about it. But my guess is since neither of them have made a live service game before, chances are it might be ass. And it might not even ever come out. How many of these games have gotten canceled? I mean, the fucking X Deviation guys or whatever the hell their name was, the Dark Outlaw, those guys didn't even hardly get a year into working on their project and they got canned. So who's to say? But with that out of the way, let's move into what I am playing. I guess I could real quick. I really apologize, guys. This fucking podcast is going to be all over the place because I am so tired today and I'm dealing with some sinus shit, so having a little trouble breathing. Maybe there's not enough oxygen getting to my fucking brain. But let's check just Patreon real quick. We'll just look real closely. Just make sure that nobody got in here and was like, hey, just so you know, there's a comment. Commented on Mo Money, same PlayStation, 2 weeks ago. Ryan Benson reacted to your message. Let's see. Okay, we already talked about this. This is Prescripted a long time ago. So I'm satisfied that we have not missed anything between Patreon and YouTube. If I did, I apologize. I'm really running on fumes here today. So let's see. What am I playing? I'm playing Hades 2 still. I've basically only been playing that. What was the other game I was playing that I played briefly? What was it? Now I can't even remember. It was, well, we got it for PS Plus, right? Oh, Lara Croft Tomb Raider. I haven't touched it. So I'm playing Hades 2 now, and I have to say, this game is slowly turning me a little bit. I'm slowly turning into it. I still don't appreciate some aspects of this game. I just gotta say, my brother and I were talking, we're having a deep conversation about this to the extent that you can over text message because he's played it. I get the feeling my brother's a way better video game player than me because he's like, oh, it took me like fucking 13 runs to beat Kronos, which is like the main bad guy. I'm like, okay, well, I've done like 13 runs and I haven't even gotten out of the fucking first level. So there's that. Since that conversation, and I've been frustrated with it because nothing frustrates me more when I'm struggling than being forced to play the same shit over and over again just to get to the thing that I'm struggling with. So, for example, first boss, you get to the boss, but you have to go through, let's say, 6 or 7 like levels before you get to fight the main boss. Well, I get to the main boss. I want to learn her patterns and I want to figure out how to beat her. In order for me to do that, I have to go back, lose all my shit, fight my way back through those levels, and then go fight that thing again. I just don't like that. I know it's a big thing in like Souls-like games and roguelike games and all that stuff. My other thing, and just the negative, and then I'll kind of switch places with my opinions of the game because I am quite enjoying it right now, is I still, even though I'm enjoying the games now for the most part, I still find it pretty, and maybe somebody can explain this to me, but I find it a tad ridiculous that the game forces me to fight the bosses over and over again. So I get to world, like I'm on world 3 now, and I'm on like the 3rd main boss. And I can totally jive with the idea of I've got to replay all the levels to get to the 2nd world. Then I got to play all the levels of the 2nd world to get to the 3rd world. And then I got to play all the levels in the 3rd world, and then I get to the 3rd boss. That's fine. I'm getting jumped back out to my camp. I got to retraverse the depths to get to as deep as I was going. That's fine. But I killed those fucking bosses. They should be dead. And I don't even think it really even makes sense narratively why they're still there. But that's probably just me being a curmudgeon. Because other games, I think, do this so much better. Like, for example, Returnal. Returnal is like the first roguelike game where I actually played it, and I'm like, this game is legit, and I'm fucking in love with it. And as the podcast listeners know, I beat Returnal, one of my favorite games of the PS5 generation. And I'm excited for Saros. I haven't played Returnal since I quit playing it when it came out. But I have every bit, all the reviews are good for Saros, so I'm assuming that game's going to be great. One of the things Returnal does that's awesome, gotta take a drink, excuse me, is that maybe it's like it's trying to have juice. Maybe that's why it tastes weird. I don't know. The mix of real juice and fake juice, who knows? So the reason why, or the thing that Returnal does that's awesome, is that once you beat a boss for a biome, so instead of having levels, they have biomes, and you just kind of go through stages of the biome, and you're unlocking more and more rooms, but it's all interconnected. So you can, once you get through rooms, you can travel freely through the whole space as you've cleared it out, as you've expanded the map. But then eventually you get to a boss, you beat the boss, you move on to the 2nd world. And it's got its own map that you expand out, and you go to new rooms and you do all this shit until you get to that boss, and then you beat him and you go to the new world and blah, blah, blah. The thing I love about Returnal is that once you beat the boss, the game has a room that it puts into the level, the biome, the world, every single time now after that, where you can bypass the boss. You've already beat him. The boss still exists if you want to go fight them for maybe some extra resources, or maybe just for the experience of playing them again. One of the coolest things about Returnal is the boss fights, because of like the spectacle of it all. So I love that sort of trade-off, because that game is a pretty hardcore roguelike. There's no concessions whatsoever. The only permanent upgrades, in quotes, are once you find a weapon, once you find a weapon, it becomes available everywhere the next time that you play it. When I say everywhere, it means you can find it. So like, for example, there's a gun that you don't unlock until you get to the 3rd world. Well, after you find it for the first time, now you can pick it up on like World 1 and World 2 and World 3 and World 4 and World 5 and World 6. Not a problem. You just have to find it that first time, and then once you discover it, then it's findable everywhere. So other than that, no permanent upgrades in Returnal at all, other than some story stuff, which is not really an upgrade so much as it is just like some weird story stuff. In this game, I think it's a little bit lighter in terms of its roguelikiness, because there's a lot more in the vein of like permanent upgrades and things like that. There are things that you get to keep that they're not blowing away everything each run. However, this boss thing, I don't. Now maybe it would unbalance the game unfairly, and maybe it would but I am a stark believer in the fact that roguelike games are games that people like. But I do think they are types of games that are just... If I was making a video game, I would make a roguelike game. And the reason is that I can literally make a game that's only an hour long, and I can sell it to you and make it really hard. And then I can sell it to you as a roguelike that takes 15 hours to beat, because every time you fail, you have to start from square one. And I know I'm oversimplifying it, so do not come skewer me at the altar unless you have a legitimate response to that. But I just, like, the cynic in me when I look at roguelike games. Now, Hades, I'm not judging Hades in that same kind of vein, a little bit, as I do with all roguelikes, but Hades does something special in where on every new playthrough, you get new dialogue with all of the gods that you come across, all the boons you get new little snippets of dialogue. Every so often when you do a run, there'll be like some random event will happen that's like part of the story of you like getting better and better at like going through the depths to eventually fight this final boss. And there is context for why you're able to do this over and over again, because all of the characters in this fucking game are gods and they're unkillable, so they get killed and then they just go back to their home and they get revived because they're gods and they're invincible, they're immortal. So it's like, okay, of course it makes sense that I would be able to fucking die a million bajillion times and still, you know, start over from scratch and not have it essentially be a continuous playthrough. And but I would love for one of these games to have the balls to just be like, look, bro, here's a mode that just lets you play the game continuously. If you die, you get to revive right there. And like they could do this with this game where it could be maybe all that it does is that when you die, you have to restart the stage or the boss that you're on. And I think that that's fine, and maybe it will give you the option to like restart the thing all over again. The thing that I wish that more developers would have the balls to just put shit like this in the game, because I think that they would attract more people to it. Now, I get that just kind of subverts the vision of the game, and I know that like roguelike purists would fucking cry themselves to sleep if they were to ever institute something like this. And it's kind of similar to like why there's no easy mode in a Souls-like game, maybe, for example. But part of why, I don't know, I guess it's the same, because I was going to say part of the reason why Souls-like games are the way they are is because they're hard. But I guess it's part of why roguelikes are the way they are, is because they're kind of difficult. But I think what bothers me about roguelikes so much is there's so much fucking replaying the same shit over and over and over again. It's not like in freaking Lies of P, when I have a fucking save point right before I get to a boss and I can just fight that boss over and over again. I don't have to beat the whole goddamn level and then fight the boss. I don't have to replay all the fucking Lies of P to get to the freaking boss that I'm stuck on. So, but I mean, I'm splitting hairs. I'm being picky because the game is, it's quite approachable. It's quite short, so you're not really that inconvenienced if you die. You maybe are put back like 20 minutes or something, or a half hour or something like that. It's not a huge deal. With that out of the way, I know I kind of like, dude, I always go on freaking these tangents about roguelikes, and I'm sorry. The guys are going to crucify me for this probably, because I'm just a humble noob with roguelites. But that said, I love a lot about Hades 2. I love Supergiant in terms of 2D, like isometric games. I think that they are unparalleled in terms of their aesthetic, in terms of their voice acting, their storytelling, their soundtracks. The way that they use the bass guitar in their soundtracks is so fucking good. And I just feel a sense of like, just like tinglies, I guess you could say. Sounds a little weird, but like this, I get this like tingly feeling whenever I play a Supergiant game, and I'm just like absorbing the aesthetic of it all and the experience of it, and like the dialogue, and like even though there's no cinematics, it's just like when you pick up a boon, for example, there'll be like this illustration of the main character like holding up the boon, and it's just so beautifully drawn. And even like, I don't know, but it's wonderful. The other thing is, I think the combat's pretty fun. I don't know how much I care for the sort of trap and kill stratagem that, now I know you're not pinned down to this, but like the main cast ability, which is like your magic attack for Millennium, which is the main character, is to put this sigil on the ground, like this circle, and enemies are trapped while they're in the circle. They can't move. And it lasts for a short period of time, but it's not the way that I normally play games, running around trapping things and then killing them. Now, the weapons do offer a lot of variety. There's this heavy battle axe, which is really slow but deals a shitload of damage, and it has a really, really awesome power-up attack where you just like charge it up and then you just do this like fucking spin move where you're swinging the axe in a circle and spinning around like a tornado. It's awesome. And then there's like a couple of wands where you're throwing like fireballs around, and then it has like a special where it like she throws out like a fire wave, and it's a little bit more of a ranged thing. Then there's a staff that's like a mid-range thing where it's not a projectile, but like you can attack enemies from a little bit farther away, and it's fast, unlike the axe, which it has more range but it's slow. And then there's a knife and sickle, which is like an assassin type thing where you're running around a lot and you're getting in tight and you're dealing a shitload of damage, but you're really vulnerable. And I do love the interplay between the weapons and the types of boons that you're picking up and the way that those weapons can be modified. But the thing that really kind of kills it for me is when you get a good build and you're playing, the game is so cool and it's so fun, and I really enjoy it. Like I had this one build recently, which is like one of the farthest I've ever gotten, where I could like trap enemies and it would like suck them into the circle and damage them rather than just holding them in place. And then I had like the ability to like dash in, and when I dash in, I hit enemies, it would like shoot these fucking fireballs out that were hitting adjacent enemies, and it was dealing tons of damage and all this stuff. And I had this like passive where they were all getting like charmed as I'm running around them and stuff. And it was just very, very cool to see all that stuff stack up and like come out in the gameplay. What I don't like is that if I die, it's just like, oh, too bad. You can't have a build like that anymore unless you get the right fucking roll of the dice. You get the right RNG, you can have a cool build again, but if you don't get good RNG, you might as well just kill yourself and start over. That's like the big, like I think if maybe the RNG was a little bit more predictable, which is anathema to RNG because the R in RNG is random. So you really can't do that. But it would be cool if there was like and maybe there is this and I just haven't achieved it yet, but if there was a ability for you to be like, okay, most of the stuff is random, but I can pick a particular boon that I can save. Like when you're in what's that game? Arc Raiders, and you have your save pocket, and you can put an item in there, and it stays with you even if you die. It would be cool if you could get a boon, even if when you die, it's no longer fully upgraded. It goes back to level 1. But you could save that boon. You could put it in a save slot, and now that boon stays with you until you replace it with something else. I think even having something like that, where it's just a little bit more zhuzh on it, that allows you to kind of keep your build, or at least get you started on your build for the next run to see how you could build it out even better or something, rather than hitting it random every fucking time and having, like, I feel like every single time I do a run, I'm just picking random shit. Obviously, I'm picking things that are more towards the style that I want the character to play, but it does a lot of times feel like it's just that whatever the game decides to give me determines how successful I am, not necessarily my skill, and that can be a little bit frustrating. Anyway, but I'm enjoying Hades 2. I was telling Fred earlier, I do plan on buying Saros, but I want to keep playing Hades while I'm kind of motivated because I fell off the first one. And since I'm kind of motivated to play the second one, I'm going to keep playing it. I'm not promising I'm going to beat it, but I do think it would be cool to kind of see it out a little bit further. So I'm going to stick to it. So anyway, getting to the news. Now we've really gotten into the podcast. Spent like a half an hour talking about fucking Hades. I don't know why. Probably gets a roguelike. It like takes it out of me. So I need another drink. My apologies. Man, that's not good. And I apologize if I'm like sniffling in the mic or whatever. Like my nose is stuffy and it's making me feel like I'm suffocating. So I'm trying not to like breathe or sniff or whatever into the microphone. Just like that. So, news point number 1. It looks like Resident Evil 9 or Resident Evil Requiem, as it is colloquially known, or more broadly known, is being updated with a new minigame mode in the next couple of weeks. Producer Masato wow, let me start that one over again. Masato Kumazawa mentioned that players would want to beat the main campaign by the end of Golden Week, which I believe is like next week. And so it is there's speculation that it's a combat focused mode, and maybe that it is sort of locked in some capacity behind you having to beat the campaign. So maybe it's like a post-campaign kind of thing. Or maybe he's just saying that like if you play this without having played the campaign, there might be spoilers and stuff, which is entirely possible. So it could be something like the Mercenaries mode in... I'm trying to remember what that was. Mercenaries. Not the game Mercenaries. I'm having a fucking stroke, guys. Resident Evil Mercenaries, which is a minigame series introduced... I'm reading the fandom page. Is a recurring minigame in the series introduced in Resident Evil 3. The exact gameplay of the goal in each iteration differs, although mostly involves getting a high score, killing as many enemies as possible within the time limit. So it's kind of like probably like a wave-based kind of mode, or like a horde mode kind of thing. So that's cool. Not a story thing, but Kumazawa, my boy Kumazawa, whose name I pronounce flawlessly, also confirmed confirmed that production into a new single-player story expansion has entered full production. So that's pretty rad, because as podcast listeners know, based on probably the conversation that Fred and I were having about the game, I fucking loved Resident Evil Requiem. I platinumed it, which is pretty hardcore for someone like me. And because I typically don't go that far with Resident Evil games. Although now that I've done it for this, maybe I would go back to something like RE2 or something like that and go back to maybe doing the platinum with that. Or maybe even a game like Resident Evil 7, which I haven't played since launch. Or Village even. I didn't play the flat screen version of Village. I only played the VR version. So I'm super stoked about this. I don't know what kind of a mission or story expansion it's going to be, but he did mention it would be something to expand the world of Resident Evil Requiem, so I'm curious about that. It could be more into the events at the hospital. It could be more into what is going on later in the game. I don't want to spoil the shit. Maybe it has more to do with your girl Grace and what she's up to after what I would presume they would follow would be the canon ending of the game. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Super excited about that. Also, noting Resident Evil Requiem has sold 7 million copies at this point, which is fucking banana hammocks worth of copies, depending on your stature. And 2 months, that's only like, what would that be? Like 9 weeks? That is pretty fucking good. 7 million copies for a Resident Evil game. I think it's the best-selling game of the year right now, which is awesome. That game totally deserves it. It's incredible. I love it. So I don't know. I don't need to gush on Resident Evil anymore. News point number 3. Apparently, this is interesting. There are, and like I said, there's some interesting stuff this week. There are some issues with games being purchased digitally on PS5 in the last month or so, where a recurring internet connection is required because it is performing a DRM check on the games. So I think just to kind of put this into perspective, a DRM check is if you buy a game digitally, the PlayStation, you have to log into your PlayStation account, and a PlayStation account has to be connected to the internet so that it can verify that you own that fucking game, which to me is asinine. I mean, I'm logged into my PlayStation account. I guess technically you could install a game. How could you do that? You could probably do some weird shit to get around it, but it would be so difficult that it's like, why even have DRMs? It's so pointless. But anyway, there's been some speculation that they've been adding more DRM into games where, and it seems to be specifically games released recently. Like Push Square did they didn't do it. Who did it? Let's see. Oh, there's another update. Like as of 20 minutes ago. Let me see. So, Spawnwave, the YouTuber, he tested 4 games: Saint Slayer, Vampire Crawlers, Crimson Desert, and Pragmata. Saint Slayer was purchased digitally recently. Vampire Crawlers recently purchased digitally. Crimson Desert was purchased a month ago digitally, and Pragmata was physical. He said that essentially Saint Slayer and Vampire Crawlers did not work once he reset the time clock on his PS5, which he did by removing the CMOS battery. So he's still logged into his PSN ID, but it said that his time clock was off, so it DRM checked his games, will not let him play those 2 games. But Crimson Desert, which was purchased digitally a month ago, will let him play it. And Pragmata, which is a physical game, lets him play it, which makes sense because the DRM is the disc. It doesn't fucking matter. I don't even know why he bothered with that, unless he was just trying to make sure that still worked and it wasn't like a bug or a glitch or something, which I totally get. So that's a good control case. So anyway, pretty interesting stuff. And there's been a lot of speculation, but no confirmation here. But I am looking a little bit at, let's see, theory, corroborated, blah, 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 still waiting. Okay, so there's still no official statement. There's just another update today, and it doesn't seem to say anything new other than people are just still trying to confirm or deny if this is a real thing that they're trying to implement, more so than what is real. Like for me, a DRM is constantly a thing for me because my brother and I have swapped primary consoles so that we could do game share between the two of us. It's fucking stupid that we have to do it this way, because what it means is that because my PlayStation 5 is not my primary console, the reason is because you can only share games with other accounts on your primary console. So if I want to play my brother's games, my PS5 has to be his primary console. If he wants to play my games, his PS5 has to be my primary console. It's stupid. It's so fucking dumb. I don't understand. Like, they let you do this. They know this happens. They're letting people do this. Just give me a fucking feature that says, I want to share my library, and you can only select one PSN user, and you can apply them to that particular slot in your profile, and that user has access to your games. Period. They don't. Their fucking PS5 is their PS5. Yours is yours, and you guys just get to share each other's games. It's totally fine. You cannot do it with more than one person. Totally jive with that. I'm totally fine with that. But the fact that I've got to do all this hubbub and dancing around, it's not even that complicated. But here's why it's a problem. Because my PS5 is not the primary PS5 for my account, when I lose the internet, I cannot play any of the games on my console. It DRM checks every time because it's not the primary console. So I can play my brother's games, but I can't play my games, which is so asinine. It makes no sense. So there is some DRM checking in existence, but it sounds like they might be trying to weasel some more in here. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. How can they actually be losing money on DRM related issues? My guess is that they're probably not losing fucking anything. It's some twerp in a fucking boardroom thinking that they need to do this or something. I have no idea. But by doing this, they may make an additional like $100,000 a year on fucking software, which is like nothing. Like they're not even paying a high level programmer that amount. So I don't get it. It's weird. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that or if I missed something, which I probably did. Let's move on. Just a quick little news point here. Insomniac Games confirmed that they are still intending to release more information on Wolverine this spring. There have been rumors of a state of play happening at some point soon. Historically, there have been state of plays in the month of May, I believe, for PlayStation, revealing a bunch of crap for the year. It's one of their bigger ones. So, as it is now 2 days away from May is Friday. This is Tuesday. I would assume that in the next week or two, we will be getting a state of play, and theoretically, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. Maybe middle, maybe late May. I don't know. But theoretically, we will hear more about. It might not even be state of play. It might be its own thing. But my guess is that we'll get a state of. We'll get maybe an overall state of play where they have a bunch of shit, and it maybe has a release date for Wolverine. But then I have a feeling we're going to get a dedicated state of play that is just about Wolverine, because they've had a history of doing that with the last few major titles for first party games. So, but we'll have to see. I'm excited about that game. I don't really think about it when it doesn't come up in the news, but I am sure that I will play it when it comes out. I am excited for it. So let's see how that pans out. Now, let's talk about some more beans being spilled, as it were, by ex-Naughty Dog employees. A former lighting artist for Naughty Dog, Gabriel Betancourt, did an interview with Kiwi Talks, and he shared some anecdotes about the troublesome development of a mystery fourth title in a franchise. And I don't think anyone is tricked as to what this is. It's got to be Uncharted 4. I mean, maybe it's like fucking Jack or something. I have no idea. I don't think that Jack... Is there a Jack 4? I have no idea. But everyone knows that there was an Uncharted 4. Everyone knows that Amy Hennig was ousted in the middle of development, the longtime director of the Uncharted series. And everyone knows that Neil and Bruce finished it. And there's just been some interesting tidbits in this interview. And I'm just going to read a couple of quotes. These are quotes that I'm pulling from Push Square, who pulled them, that aggregated them from Kiwi Talk. So if anything here gets translated incorrectly, I apologize. It's not in a different language, but it's copy and paste stuff happens. He says, quote, "I remember this one game prototype, and I won't say which one, but there was a project that had been in production for 2.5 years, almost 3, and corporate basically said, we're having questions about this, and the franchise was successful up to that point. There was no reason to question this thing would be successful. But at the time, the leader was surrounded by people who were always saying yes, and they were living in the glory of their success going into their fourth project. Okay? Successful franchise going into their fourth project. Let's look here. Just real fun. How many Jack games are there? Jack. Let's just do this. Mainline Jack and Daxter games are there. There are 4 main console games. Are all of them developed by Naughty Dog? Are all of them developed by Naughty Dog? So, developers. Jack and Daxter, precursor, Jack 2, Jack 3. No. There's Jack 1, 2, and 3. So, that answers that question. Sorry for that fucking sideline. And so, it almost has to be Uncharted, right? They're talking about squabbles. They're talking about fucking potential issues. It's probably Uncharted. So they're talking about like, sorry, I'm like reading as I'm talking, and it's very difficult to do this by myself. But according to Push Square, they say this is what Push Square says, because they actually listened to the interview. I didn't listen to the interview, so I apologize. Otherwise, I would say this word for word. But Push Square says, quote, apparently another director was asked to review the project, and they concluded that it, quote, sucked, unquote. This prompted a strong response from, quote, corporate, unquote. In this instance, Sony, who effectively threatened to cancel the game, end quote. All of that from Push Square. And who could this other mystery director be but someone like a Bruce Straley or a Neil Druckmann? I have no idea. Those were the guys at the time when it came to Naughty Dog. So if we're assuming it's Uncharted 4, which it almost certainly is, then Betancourt continues saying, corporate looked at this and they said, you guys are in trouble. We're going to pull funding from this if you guys don't fix this. As a result, the director of that project was pulled away, even though they had been successful. And the naysayer, along with 2 others, were put in to help fix it. So just a quick point. The naysayer, he's saying, would be the director that came in and said the game sucked. So presumably Neil or Bruce or one of those guys. He said, quote, and the naysayer, along with 2 others, were put in to help fix it, and then the game had to be redone. But then 2.5, 3 years later, so going on 5 or 6 years total of production, the game became a success. Uncharted 4 was a massively successful game. It maybe was not the best Uncharted game. I would probably argue that 3 is the best, but it is probably the most impressive Uncharted game, cover to cover, while it might not be the best from like a narrative and perspective. But if you're talking about technology, you're talking about presentation, you're talking about acting and all this kind of shit. It's unbelievable. And the more I talk about it, the more I want to go back and play, because I've only played it twice. I beat it once by myself, and then I played it a second time as to go through with my wife, because she really enjoyed watching the first 3. So I wanted to play it with her watching so that she could get the story and all that stuff. It's amazing. So some interesting tidbits about Naughty Dog and its development, and this, I want to say Nuno Betancourt. It's not fucking Nuno Betancourt. For those of you who don't know, Nuno Betancourt is a guitarist of the band Extreme, and he is by far one of the sickest fucking rock guitar players on the planet. If you have any curiosity, just look at his guitar solo from the song Rise off of their new album. It is so fucking good. He does this tapping thing that is just like, or no, it's not a tapping thing. It's just a really fast freaking muted picking thing that is just, oh my god, it gives me chills every time I hear it. Fucking rad dude. But this is not Nuno Betancourt. It is Gabriel Betancourt. Not even spelled the same, I don't think. So anyway, I don't know. That's the end of that news point. Moving on. More Naughty Dog talk. Last of Us director Vineet, Last of Us Online director Vineet Agarwal recently tweeted about the game, saying that he is surprised how much praise he still receives from his developers on the game's quality. He also notes that he won't let any of his projects get canceled like this ever again, which is kind of a weird thing to say. But let's look at the official tweet and what he says. He says, quote, "It is wild how many of my ex-colleagues still message me today saying how amazing The Last of Us Online was going to be. Still the best multiplayer game they've ever played. Yet never going to let what I work on not see the light of day again. Thank you to all of the support and confidence." So, my dude, Vineet, probably does not have a lot of control over whether or not his games get canceled. So I'm not sure how that part of it's going to play out. But the fact that he is receiving still receives a lot of comments about how good The Last of Us Online was before it was canceled, I suppose I should say. It's pretty interesting. And I think everybody at this point, especially probably people within Sony, are probably wishing they'd never canceled that game, because they probably canceled it, and that year they probably wrote it off, and now they're legally incapable of releasing it, which is, I think, for like 5 years or more. So it might even be longer than that, maybe like 10 years or something. So that sucks. It's good to hear that the game was good, though. I mean, we all kind of suspected the game was probably really great, and that they just didn't want to put it out because they didn't want to support it. But I really wish that we would be able to see what that game was, even if it's just like this is a GDC talk. Here's the fucking game. Let's just show it to you, and look at this awesome shit we did. Now they're not going to do that because they want to maybe they want to use that framework for a different game, and I would advise that maybe they do in some capacity. It doesn't have to be The Last of Us. They could make it into like a fucking, I don't know, Spyro the Dragon. No, they can't do that because Microsoft owns them now. But you know what I mean. Something. They can make it like a Bubsy multiplayer game or something. I have no idea. But anyway, I wish Fred was on the podcast to talk about this next news point, because there's not really a whole lot to say here. But a new teaser has been released for the new Alien Isolation game. It doesn't show anything. It literally shows like a black screen with like a fucking sci-fi door opening, and then like a picture of a payphone that says emergency at the top of it or something like that. It's like literally 20 seconds long. It says nothing, but I think it's just they just put it out there to like remind us that this game is being developed. And I didn't play the first one. I was super interested in it, but as soon as I heard it was like 30 plus hours long, I'm like, nope, I am not playing a game like this for 30 hours. I'm sorry. There's too much tension. Even a game like God, what the fuck is wrong with me today? Resident Evil Requiem. Even a game like that. It's like that game, if it was my first time playing it and it was only the hotel shit, the first person shit with Grace, and not the high action, high octane shit with Leon, I wouldn't want that. Even that game, I wouldn't want it to be 30 hours. I want it to be like 10 to 15 max, because it's just a lot. It's a lot on the nerves, and I don't want it to linger. And so hopefully this new game is not 30 hours long. Hopefully it's like 10 or 15, because that first game looked freaking dope, but I just didn't want to. I couldn't hang with it, not for that long. So I just decided to not even try, which is maybe a little bit of a poo-poo on me, but maybe sometime I should go in and give it a shot, because especially since I probably have it for free on PS Plus or something. There's like no barrier to entry, I'm sure. But I think Fred played it. I'm pretty sure he liked it. I don't know if he beat it, but I feel like I remember him saying that he played it and he liked it. So look forward to that. The next game, which I am actually looking forward to, Mina the Hollower, has gone gold, finally. This game has been in fucking development forever. They announced it 4 years ago or more. And I think they've been working on it since like 2019 or some shit. So pretty cool that this game has gone gold. It's like a Zelda-like, top-down kind of isometric, a little sort of adventure combat game like Zelda. And it looks awesome. It looks so good. So I'm excited for this game. I would like to get to it at some point. But here's the thing. This game has gone gold. For those of you that don't know, that means that the game has finished its 1.0 build and it's ready to be pressed onto disk or to be sent for certification. So the game is done, ostensibly. Maybe it needs a day one patch or whatever, but the game, as far as they're concerned, is complete. This is by Yacht Club, who also did Shovel Knight. Hollow Knight is something else. So Shovel Knight is awesome. That game was arguably one of PS4's best games. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. That little shovel dude. And the expansion, Spectre Knight, was fucking incredible. Or it was the Spectre Knight expansion. I don't remember what the hell the name of the expansion was. And I think there was one with maybe King Knight or something like that. That there was like another one. I'm not really sure, but that game was awesome. So this game looks like it's going to be great too. It's been in development forever, but the game has gone gold. But here's what's weird about it. There's still no release date for it, even though the game has gone gold. They still have not announced when this game is coming out. So the game is ostensibly apparently done, but they don't know when they're releasing it yet, which I find a bit odd. So we'll see. Hopefully it's soon. Maybe they'll pull a Hollow Knight Silk Song, which is interesting. Considering that I was talking about Shovel Knight, this game's called Mina the Hollower, and now I'm talking about Hollow Knight. Really fucking weird how those things intersect. It's like a love triangle of words. But anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. Who knows when it's coming out? Hopefully it comes out soon. I'm excited to play it. It just needs to not drop in like a really bad time. So preferably like maybe after Sorrows would be a good time for it to go. A month from now or so. Although there's probably other shit that I'm completely forgetting about that we want to play, so I don't know about that. But I still got to play Pragmata 2. That looks freaking awesome. I hear it's really good as well. Okay, last news point, and then I'm getting the hell out of here because I am out of breath, my dudes and dudettes. If there are any ladies at all listening to this podcast, I applaud you for sticking around this sausage fest. Sorry. So the last news point that I have here is that Troy Baker is apparently starting his own game studio. For those of you who don't know, Troy Baker is a well-renowned voice actor. He plays, I believe he plays Joel, obviously, from The Last of Us. And he plays Booker DeWitt, I believe, from the Bioshock Infinite game. Incredible game. He plays why am I fucking brain farting? He plays Drake's brother in Uncharted 4, which we just talked about. And let's see here. Troy Baker games. Let's see. Troy Baker games. Oh, he plays Higgs in Death Stranding as well. That's correct. He played that's right. He played Indiana Jones. He did a fucking amazing job with the Indy voice. That was wonderful. He played Ocelot in The Phantom Pain. Interesting. I did not know that. And most recently he's played Jack Pepper in Mouse PI for Hire, which looks like a great game. That's another game I gotta get to. So Troy Baker, prolific voice actor. He's in fucking everything now. Apparently is starting his new studio. It's early in development, and so there isn't really a whole lot to say about it at this point. I just wanted to put it in here because I was curious about how Troy, as a prolific voice actor, is going to command the creation of games as a whole, not just play the role of a character that is being directed and created by somebody else. And so I don't know if he plans on writing the games, or if he plans on directing the games, or if he plans on programming the games, or if he plans on being all of the voices in the games. Maybe he's doing all of the above. I have no idea. I don't know if he's starting a small studio, if he's starting a medium studio or a big studio, if he's planning on doing 2D games or 3D games or puzzle games or fucking sports games. I have no idea. Maybe Troy Baker wants to make racing games in which he is the announcer for the racetrack. And that would be pretty fucking weird, but also kind of cool. So the dude has probably made a lot of money being a voice actor over the years in some of the biggest roles in video games. So I'm sure he has the flexibility to be able to do this. And not that it isn't a risk, but I bet he's got some venture capital and stuff that allows him to get going. And I'm excited just to see what his creative side looks like. Not just his acting chops, but how well he is able to cohesively, or how he's able to gel his thoughts into a product as a whole and not just one aspect of it. So that should be pretty interesting. And with that, that is the end of our show. I apologize. I accidentally launched Teams on my computer, which is a virus. So I don't even know why it's on my computer. This is my home computer. Why do I have Teams on here? Oh yeah, because my computer raped me with Windows 11. I didn't opt in for the Windows 11 update. It just did it. I had Windows 10 before. And with that, it put Teams on my computer like the fucking virus it is. Windows 11 sucks. Microsoft sucks. Office sucks. Outlook is absolute trash. The internet is terrible. All websites are broken now. I fucking hate everything. And with that, I bid you adieu. So like Xenogears, Xenosaga, and Xenodrifter. P.S. This is awesome.